So in the markets, we always talk about sector churning happening, where one sector excites the investors more than the others. So definitely you expect better returns in that particular sector over time. Selection of a particular sector or a theme depends on the macro and the micro factors. But if you wish to play any theme, then it gets easy in the mutual fund world, which offers you thematic funds, over which we will be going to have the discussion on the Money Show today. The thematic funds, if I tell you, then they are the type of the mutual funds that invest in companies that are tied around a well-defined theme across various sectors. They are more like a sectoral fund, but in a broader sense, if we see that if you want to invest in a healthcare sector, then not only you will focus on the pharma companies or the medicine manufacturing companies, but you can also look on the hospital stocks or medical equipments. So this was just one example to make you understand they are more diversified than the sectoral funds, and hence you have a lower risk than the sectoral funds. Talking of India, India offers you various thematic funds across the sectors, and as per SEBI, any such fund, at least 80% of the investments should be there in stocks of a particular sector or a theme for which it is defined. And to carry this interesting discussion on the thematic funds, I'm joined by PV Subramaniam, who is the CEO of Subramani.com. Hello and good evening, sir. It's pleasure having you on ET Now, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So, taking the discussion further, my first question to you will be, I just help my viewers understand what basically are the thematic funds. We would like to know that when we talk on this particular thing, then how should one start looking at the thematic funds? Like, market is consolidating. Should you move to the thematic funds? What your suggestion could be there, and what time is correct to enter in thematic funds?
So let me split the answer. There are two themes. One is a thematic fund and one is a sectoral fund. A thematic fund invests around a particular theme. So the theme could be ESG. The theme could be, say, an opportunity fund. It could be an international fund. It could be an MNC fund. This is a particular theme around which you invest. And the other is a sectoral fund. Sectoral fund could be IT. Information technology is a sector, right? Healthcare is a sector. So those are sectoral funds. Like within the commodity fund, there could be a gold fund, there could be a silver fund, but largely it is said to be a commodity fund. A commodity fund could be investing in companies which are into those commodities. So it could be a commodity fund could be investing in a steel manufacturer, whereas a gold fund may be investing only in gold, right? So let's make a distinction between a thematic fund and a sectoral fund. Should retail people invest? So thematic funds are very few and very small in number. There are international fund, MNC funds. There is a commodity fund. There are the opportunity funds. These are all the themes, right? What is the theme? The theme is there are various opportunities happening in India post-COVID. So we have an opportunity fund. So that is a theme. The theme is of opportunity. Whereas the sectoral fund specializes in, say, banking, IT, or healthcare, right? So it's a sectoral fund. That's the distinction. Should retail investors invest? My answer would be a very yes, but with a lot of precaution. So should they invest? Yes. How should they invest? That we will talk later. But it is a little scary for people to invest because of the way they invest. Typically, they will go in and see which are the best performing funds, and you will have IT showing 40% return, and they will go and put money in that particular sectoral fund. That does not make sense. You should be investing in one of the worst performing funds. So suppose IT is performing very badly and over 3 years it has given you negative returns or very poor returns, that's the time to be entering. Entering at a time when the market is so high for that particular sector is not the way to do it. So definitely wherever you should invest, you should not invest in an IT fund.
Okay, so that's a very important point to know for our viewers, that whenever a sector is not performing that great, that is the correct time where you enter in the thematic fund. So do watch out for that. But my next question comes up that, okay, yes, if I decide to go for a thematic fund, what proportion of my total portfolio should I be allocating to thematic funds?
So first of all, I would put money in a thematic fund or even in a sectoral fund only if I am a good investor with a lot of experience. I should know how to invest, because an SIP may not work. You may want to invest a lump sum. For example, at the beginning of the COVID, if you had invested in healthcare, you would have done very well. And that was not very difficult to anticipate, saying, okay, I'm very sure that hospitals will be doing well, diagnostic testing companies would be doing well. So I go and invest in a pharma fund. So yes, you would have made money. Should you still be investing in a pharma fund now? I don't know, because they have perhaps given you very good returns for 2 years or 3 years, and they may have perhaps given the next 2-3 years returns already. So you may have to wait for a long time. So if you know how to switch sectors and things like that, or you have a very good advisor who will be able to advise you, then you should enter. Otherwise, you shouldn't. And your question was what percentage? Not more than 10 or 15%. Like these are esoteric funds. So you don't need too much of it. So maybe 10 to 15% of the amount of money that you have decided to allocate to equity funds should go into this, and not more than that.
Okay, so the point to be noted that only 10 to 15% is what you can look for investing in the thematic funds, and you should definitely get an expert advice and an opinion before you enter into such thematic funds. But my next question comes up where I would seek and where we would look forward, where you would suggest investing and which ones you should invest in.
Okay, let me put it this way. I will tell you where not to invest. Those funds which have done very well and have given you fabulous returns, please understand, in the long run, equity should give you 10-12% returns. So if you pick up funds which have given you 40% returns, you know that the next few years can't be too great. So those are funds to be avoided. So just go pick up funds and see any fund which has given you 15, 18, 30%, 40%. Those are the funds to be avoided. So you may not be able to find any great theme today or even any sector, because everything seems to have done very well. So metals have done well, pharma has done well. Maybe the banking BFSI may not have done so well. So maybe you could put some money into the banking BFSI fund. Or now there are some thematic funds which are business cycle funds or things like that. You could put small amounts of money. But Shrishi, because you're putting a gun on my head, I'm saying that this is not a great time to be investing. Continue with your old flexi cap and mid cap or large cap kind of themes. Because see, I understand one thing: if the sector is doing very well, your regular fund manager will also be investing in that sector, right? So if he feels that metals will do well, he will go and buy metals. If he thinks oil will do well, he will buy oil. So you don't need to invest. And just because you're under pressure to say add one thematic fund or one sectoral fund, don't add just for the sake of it, sake of adding. But yes, afterwards, after maybe 6 months, 1 year, you find some sector has done very badly for whatever reason, that would be a time to enter that fund in a small way. But right now, I think I'm very scared. I wouldn't put money in a sectoral fund. And if I put a gun to my head, maybe the BFSI. But even that, I would be very wary.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Subramaniam, for sharing those insights, and especially on the last answer where investors need to work upon to choose their particular theme. But that's nothing to worry that if you don't put money into thematic funds, that's absolutely okay, because we all know that it has been a fantastic bull run that we have saw in the past 1.5 years. So definitely you should be tracking which sectors you need to. But Subramaniam does suggest that BFSI could be one sector that you could have a look at. So definitely that was an interesting discussion, and thank you so much for your time to ET Now.
Thank you.